Mr. When you say you love me, Mr.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Granny's Peach Tea, episode 188 for those who are counting on this lovely Monday evening, President's Day. A lot of people had the day off. Hopefully everyone's chilling and relaxing today. But we got ourselves a show to do because we got ourselves a big, brand new MCU movie to discuss. So thanks for joining us as always. If you're joining us on the Facebook live stream, if you're joining us on YouTube, or wherever you found your audio-only podcast, appreciate the support as always. And we're opening up with the Fleetwood's Mr. Blue. And if you saw Captain America: Brave New World, you got a pretty good idea of exactly why. But yeah, that figured that was the one of two choices we could have went with this week, but it felt like that was the right move.
I'm loving this. Loving this. It's my type of music, Ed.
It speaks to you. I mean, you're not gonna. Don't go into a trance now, and don't start like you're doing.
Oh no.
Stuff.
Ed, I want to be clear. I've come on this episode to kill you tonight, but it's not because I've been brainwashed.
All right, well, I'm Ed with you, so this is Jason. Jason, what's up? What's going on, man?
Hey, how's it going? Happy President's Day. God, I got a fucking 50s song on this show. Jesus Christ, I can't believe it. This is a President's Day miracle. Hope everyone's enjoying their President's Day and worshiping your president like you should be. Top five favorite presidents right here. Historically speaking, I'm going to give every president a hard pass, like on one horrific thing, because I've done a lot of research on President's Ed, and
okay.
Every president before 1990, every president has done at least one horrific thing in their, even the best of them, one horrific thing in their presidency. So got to give them a pass on that, or they're just all terrible. But I'm gonna say FDR. He gets the pass in the Japanese internment camp because that was terrible. I'm gonna say Lincoln. I don't know what I'm giving him the pass on. He's Lincoln. He's a fucking wrestler, man. He was Ric Flair before Ric Flair was Ric Flair. You know what I mean?
He hunted vampires.
He did hunt vampires. I mean, he saved us all, except for Blade. Blade doesn't like him. They don't get along.
It's true. This is true.
I'm going to say LBJ. Even though the Vietnam War was terrible, that's the pass I'm giving him. And then, he did a lot of stuff with civil rights. And then Polk, because of Polk High.
Okay.
Al Bundy.
Okay. Nice. I like it. Married with Children reference.
Pass I give him as no one knows who he is, and I actually could probably name only one thing he did. And last but certainly not least, I would say George Washington. He should have been first. It's kind of like the Biggie lyric, the 10 Crack Commandments. If I were writing this, it would have been first. And even though I did write this, he's still not first. It's a weird conundrum, but George Washington, because he had wooden teeth, and that must have been painful.
Oh my God, yeah, that's true. That really had to be rough. Damn. That's a lot to deal with. Jesus, I never really thought about it.
I'm just saying, and that wasn't getting political. I think I was just being an ass while remembering the 5 presidents I could remember while Ed was putting out the.
It's always interesting, Jason, when you're on the spot to see what goes through the brain and what you can spit out there just to keep the show going.
I thought President's Day. I thought the top 5 presidents I could think of. Let me justify why they'd be in that order. I had nothing.
Why not? I listen. I got no problems with that. That was a solid list. Especially kudos to you for going right off the top of the head with it. How about that?
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Was it 4 or 5 touchdowns in one game?
I think it was 5, right?
I think it was 5 because that's usually even more.
5 touchdowns in one game?
Yeah, I think
maybe
it
I'm
was.
wrong.
I think it was. The great Al Bundy. All right.
Booty train.
Booty time. How dare you?
Oh, booty time.
How did not come on later now? Tim's gonna boycott the show now. He's like, "That's it, guys. I'm done."
Sorry, Tim. Sorry. President brain. You understand?
Oh man. Yeah. So, listen, we got a lot to get into because we got another packed show this week as well. So let's just get right into it, though. We got Harley Quinn season 5, episode 5. Let me drop that spoiler warning because that dropped on Max a few days ago on Thursday, as per usual. And Jason, what do you got here with us? There's a lot of very Batman, Joker, super Gotham centric episode here.
This is a Batman-rific episode. I love my Batman-rific episodes of Harley Quinn. I personally feel we kind of said last week was kind of a dud. This, I feel, was a fucking home run. The whole plot is everyone in the building that Harley and Ivy live in, which is owned by Bruce Wayne, are invited to the Bruce Wayne Italian dinner feast. And that really just includes Harley and Poison Ivy and
Frank is there.
Lois Lane.
Yeah.
Frank is there. Well, Frank comes. And then there's of course Damian Wayne who's there. And guess who also lives in this compound, guys? The Joker. But not for him, for his daughter, who's in and I love, like, she's here for the Sims. Like, she's here because she plays an instrument or something. Like, I love that they don't even try to justify why these people are now in Metropolis.
No, they don't. They're not even. Yeah, you're right. They're just kind of just throwing people there. Like, listen, whatever. The show has to happen. We've changed the setting. Let's just keep it going.
It doesn't fucking matter. They are literally saying hand wave in a funny way. You know, like, because Joker comes on, he's like, yeah, well, we had to buy this because she's here studying with whatever she's studying for. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. But that's the whole thing. She lives in there. So they're all together. And then the twist is, dun, 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 Alfred gets killed. And Ivy has the knife. And she goes on the run.
No. It was Harley. God. Harley has the knife.
Oh, I meant Harley. I'm sorry. Harley has the knife. What are we going to do? Well, nothing, because Bruce tells us Alfred does this all the time. He likes to play the game of, what would you do without me? He's at one point, he's asked Alfred's last name, and he says, I don't know, Alfred Butler?
Yeah, this Bruce Wayne is so far out there.
This is a Bruce Wayne that in any other medium I would hate. But for the Harley Quinn show, it's fucking perfect.
Exactly, because we've always accepted the fact that this story is told through Harley Quinn's point of view. So this is her interpretation of all these characters.
Exactly. And even though that Alfred and Bruce's relationship is one of my favorites, like, in the Batman universe, I'm okay with it being like this here because it's fucking funny.
This is the anti Bruce Alfred relationship.
It is, and it causes us to get the macaroni. I can't believe this. Is this a thing from the comic, Ed? Have you ever seen this? Because I couldn't find it.
I'm going to say no, but this seems like it would have been something from, like, Batman 66. I mean, does it not? Does it not seem like there's a line right up with it?
100%. Now I have to go watch every Batman 66 episode and see if it shows up. Because I have it on Blu-ray.
I'm actually looking it up right now to see if there was any mention of that prior to this. No, there's nothing. It's basically this.
Okay. Because Alfred, all right, I jumped ahead. So, all right, real quick, let's go back a bit. Everyone splits up Clue style to look in this apartment for Harley and Ivy, and King Shark's kid, who's there for some reason because he ate. He ate the shower heads and it caused a flood, and Alfred was giving them a shit about it. Bruce and Joker split up. They go for a schwitz. And Bruce is like his sauna is beautiful because you see like the white pale skin is not melting because that's his skin, but you can he puts the clown makeup on because that's melting. And he actually gives Bruce the fucking advice that saves the day. Just tell him you love him. What's that gonna help? It can't hurt. Like that's the Joker provides Batman the advice to save the day.
Yeah, the fact that Harley and Joker are the like voices of reason in this show tells you all you need to know about like the sanity and the point of view of the show.
Yep. I love it. I love it so much. So the whole plot is that Alfred faked his own death, as we knew, but the person who framed Harley was fucking Nightwing, who Alfred used the Lazarus Pit to bring back to kill Harley and Ivy. And he goes fucking crazy, and Harley's like, yes, I know, I'm sorry, I killed you sleepwalking, it wasn't personal, I like you, it could have been anyone. And as he's about to kill her, Batman goes, Dick, I'm sorry, I love you. And it changes everything.
He also tells Alfred that. He tells Damian. He tells Damian that because Damian is this pouting little teenager who's playing with his phone all the time.
Yep. Who what's her face broke up with from Teen Titans? Raven.
Raven. Yep.
And that's important because at the end of this episode, him and the Joker's daughter are a thing. So Joker and Bruce are going to be best buds. I actually fucking can't wait to see that happen on the show.
Yeah, I don't even remember. Was there a point where this Bruce Wayne did officially decide he wasn't going to be Batman? Or is he just, we're just seeing his Bruce Wayne stuff right now and that's it?
Here's the thing. I think the show does what it wants because it's possible that he decided that when he went to prison. I don't remember. Yeah. But also, the Joker knows that Bruce Wayne is Batman in the Harleyverse, and they have kind of just ignored that because he finds out at the in the second season.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I forgot about that. It seems like it was 20 years ago right now.
Yes, it does. It's a long time ago. But so I think the show just kind of whatever works.
Oh, for sure. I mean, listen, I was just curious because I just couldn't remember that because anytime, even in this version, seeing Bruce and the Joker together in like, we don't see them going at each other's throats, or it's not like,
I loved it.
You want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts. Like, there's none of that.
No,
they are just going on about
it.
Exactly.
I love the whole thing. Well, just tell him that you love him. Will that help? It can't hurt. Like, I love that. It's like, it's the most sane thing said in the episode, and it is from the Joker.
Yeah, so I mean,
but then Batman tries that, or no, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to move on. That Bruce then tries that on Alfred, and Alfred's like, "Shit, that's not going to work on me," and he takes the Bane serum. And he Bane's out, and then they have to fight fucking Bane macaroni. It's the weirdest shit. And then they beat him because they realize that, and I love this moment, Harley goes, Bane's weakness is steam. The steam will take the poison out of his body. How do you know that? It's why he never went into the steam room in the League of Assassins, or the League of Evil, and Joker's like, Legion of Doom, and Joker was like, oh, I thought he was just shy or something like that. It was so funny. And then so they have it comes back around. They have King Shark's kid bite off all of the heads of the shower, and he does that, and it fills the room, steams, and they get Alfred. And Alfred goes to prison. Dick is back, which is fantastic. I was wondering how he was going to come back because he should have. Mm-hmm. And then we get the line, well, who's going to clean up this mess? Well, I've used my extensive connections to get Alfred out of jail. I mean, it wasn't his fault, and really, someone has to clean this mess up. It's like it was the most this is the most asshole Bruce Wayne ever.
Oh, by far, and that's why it's the Harley Quinn version of Bruce Wayne, who's a complete douchebag.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty funny episode.
That's pretty much
a lot of the things.
I did too. There's just one more thing I got to touch on because this really does set up the rest of the season. I think. Harley had said something about having dreams about a skull, which we know is Brainiac. Lois Lane, and this is why she's here, which fucking hysterical. Macaroni says, "I invited you all because all of you needed to die." And Lois Lane goes, "What about me?" He goes, "Well, Miss Lane, I honestly didn't think you were going to show."
Yes.
Fucking great. But then the reason Lois is there is because she's also having these dreams, and now her and Harley are like, let's link up and figure out what's going on. We're having the same dreams. And so I wanted to get to that before we gave our overall thing of the episode, because I think that's the impetus of the rest of the season.
Yeah, well, because Lois Lane also offers Harley like a job to work with her at, because since she's been in Metropolis, she's had all this pent up energy and nothing to do with it. Where Harley even admits that she started cleaning up the apartment at one point when she's not even being a slob anymore, because Ivy's off doing a bunch of stuff and stuff like that. She's also part of the reason she's upset about the shower heads, because apparently she's been spending a whole lot of time in the shower with the shower heads.
Yes.
So there's also that. So this will give her some outlet to do something with herself.
Yes. And I love that line, like, "Do you want to be my assistant at Daily Bugle?" And Ivy goes, "This woman is a PhD. Why would she be your assistant?" Yes, I will.
Absolutely.
I love that moment. Because never forget that Harley is a fucking doctor. She's a PhD. She's a psychiatrist. Never forget that. That is a huge thing about her character.
Well, it adds also more to the comedic value of the insanity that we watch her doing every week, and the nonsense that comes out of her mouth.
Absolutely, because she knows better. It just doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, I thought it was a pretty funny episode overall. I thought it was a step up from episode 4, which I thought, like we mentioned, was kind of a dud. Especially the fact that like Brainiac wasn't followed up with immediately, and the next episode also kind of just seems like that was just a weird episode in episode 4. But yeah, I definitely think it was a bounce back episode for Harley Quinn.
Yeah, I love this episode. Of course I did. It's a Batman centric episode. I kind of think that the last episode is just. I think they went, you know what, to make this season work, and we'll revisit this at the end of the season. But I think they went to make the season work. We need to have this one episode. It's not going to land. It's not going to be great. It'll be fine. But once we get this out, going forward, it's going to be wonderful. And that's what I think they did. I respect these writers enough to give them the credit that they said, you know what, we take the mulligan to get the information out there, and then we can work our magic. So, and I think this episode is magic. I love this fucking episode.
Oh, that's fair. All right. Well, let's keep it moving along then, shall we? Let's bounce over to Prime Video with Invincible, Season 3, Episode 4. Quickly, overall, I thought a strong episode, a lot of action-packed stuff. Pretty simple, straightforward episode, though, I think, compared to the first 3 that we got last week.
Agreed. But I want to say this, that I really appreciated it used its time wisely. It could have stretched, like, it's 2 episodes. Essentially, it's 2 half-hour episodes as opposed to 1-hour episode. But it could have easily tried to stretch that first part into an episode, but they didn't, because it didn't need it. And I really appreciated the time management there. So I'm going to look at it as 2 different episodes. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm just clearing my throat there.
So yeah, I'm going to look at it as 2 different episodes. So let's talk about episode 4.1, which sees Mark and Adam Eve on their first date. and it's sweet, and I ship them, and I like that they're finally fucking together. It makes sense. And the weird bros who stole the Constitution a couple episodes back show up, and guess what? They're time travelers, and guess what? They need Mark to come to the future with them to help them, and guess what? Mark tells them to go fuck themselves, and they hijack him anyway.
Yeah. I do love the fact that Mark, just jumping ahead very briefly, the whole when Mark goes ahead and gets with a girl, we jump ahead and we have the narrator tell us as they're pulling away to go to a different episode or a different story. This is the second time they've done that.
It's happened a bunch of. You're right, it has. And now we leave Mark and the girl and Adam together, and they have. Yeah, I love that. So, all right. So I actually love this part of the episode. I actually thought this was a great episode altogether. This is time travel. Time travel is my absolute favorite fucking trope in all of science fiction and all of movies. So clearly this is going to be my favorite. They go to the future. It's many years in the future. The dude bros who stole the Constitution convince Mark to help them. They convince him exactly what's going on, and what's going on is a king has taken over. At some point, Earth was in bad shape. They gave their trust over to a superpowered ruler. It was great for a long time, and then the ruler went crazy and subjugated and killed a lot of people. And that is what they are fighting against. The reason they wanted that Constitution is because it's red. And I do love this because this is definitely a myth that could be started and believed thousands of years into the future, that the ink of the Constitution could stop the king.
Yeah. At least they gave some sort of context to why the Constitution was stolen, besides me thinking of Nick Cage and National Treasure, because that's where my mind went immediately.
Of course.
But at least there was more of a reason for it. And I thought that was a pretty interesting thing that they did with the whole ink creating. Well, they thought it was going to be a poison, right? That was going to go ahead and take out the king.
Yeah, because it was again, it was a myth. It was this myth, like the Constitution is such a powerful document that the ink that is written in is so potent against tyrants that if you shoot a tyrant with it, it'll kill it. Like that's what I loved about it. It was this fucking 1,000-year-old myth based on the Constitution, which was just penned by a bunch of, slave owners. Happy President's Day.
Wow. Right into the subject matter.
I'm just saying, it's the truth. I mean, not all of them were, but a lot of them were. Thomas Jefferson certainly was.
No, but I found it a remarkable way to work your way into it worked its way around into the President's Day theme.
It's true. Yeah, it comes back around. Time is a flat circle, you understand? But now this is the cool part. So Mark is like, all right, I'll help you. There's a moment I wanted to point. This is my favorite moment of the whole episode. What do I do with my clothes? Because Mark had to, change into his outfit. And then a very dour, depressed Mark just pops out of nowhere going, I'll take that. And he takes it back. And he goes, why am I so depressed? Don't question things. Time travel's weird. We'll get back to that. Because that's my favorite part of the episode. And so then Mark goes and fights the king, who is fucking the immortal. Ed, did you call this, who did you think it was leading up to this?
I thought it was a future version of Mark, to be completely honest with you. That's where my mind was going with it. Yeah, all right. So I did not think it was the immortal at all.
Yeah.
But it makes sense.
Same. It makes perfect sense. And what they do is better than I thought. It's way better than it being Mark. But I thought Mark or Nolan. Right? I was like, all right, maybe one or the other.
That's fair.
It's funny because I have a student who loves this show, and every week I run into he's not in my class anymore, but I run into him in the hall. And he ran into me after I watched the day after this dropped. He was like, did you watch it? And I said, yeah, did you watch it? We talked about it. And I asked him the same question. I said, who'd you think it was going to be? And he went, I thought it was going to be Mark, future version of Mark. And I said, yeah, me too. And then I went, and I thought Nolan. He went, I never thought Nolan for a second.
No, Nolan didn't cross my mind. I did go to Future Mark like immediately, and I was actually pretty shocked when I saw the Immortal, and I was like, duh, obviously.
But I didn't see it. You didn't see it. My student didn't see the Immortal coming. It was brilliant because he's literally lived so long. He's gone insane. He's seen everyone he cares about die. And I love that Mark is like, is this about Kate? And we know that in Mark's timeline, they're getting married. And the Immortal loves Kate. That's not fake.
No, he like, genuinely does.
Kate? He does. Yes. But it's like, who's Kate? And she's like, you're getting married to her. And he's like, do you know how many wives I've had? I've lived forever, and I've seen everyone I care about die. And the reason I love this so much, the Immortal is doing all of this, is because he can't kill himself for honor reasons. And no one else in the world can kill him but Mark. And Mark and his family have already gone away. That's how this started. Mark put him in charge and left because he trusted him. And he started doing this to get Invincible back to kill him. And so Invincible doesn't want to do it. The Dude Bros come. He's going to kill the Dude Bros. Fucking Mark ends the Immortal. And that's why you see Mark is depressed when he goes to get his clothes.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool thing there. I was wondering how that Mark was going to do it. By the way, I also saw there was a comment made by the I don't know, I think it was Robert Kirkman or whoever it was, that has to do with Invincible, mentioning that the costume change from Mark this season is supposed to kind of like be a nod to Peter with the black suit.
Oh shit! Okay, no, I didn't see that.
Kind of like signifying his like darker turn throughout the season. He's been, while Mark's been a bit more irrational, he's been a bit more violent this season, and like he's trying to rein himself in. I thought that was an interesting tidbit.
No, that's super cool, and yeah, and also Mark's getting more in touch with himself, which I think is important, right? Like, yeah, that's all. I didn't clock that. I didn't see that. That's awesome. So that then Mark and Adam Eve lay down, and they're about to get it on. And the narrator nicely turns our attention to deep space, where what's his Rob the alien, Al the alien,
Alan the alien.
Alan the alien. Thank you, Alan the alien. He's doing his time with Nolan, and the Viltrumites come because it's time to have there's like a ritual like murder when you put a Viltrumite to death, and we'll find out why that's important at the end. And he tells Alan, don't help me, just leave me alone, leave me the fuck alone, dude. But Alan was thinking back, well, he called me a friend the last time. He didn't want me to die. He's actually admitted that he misses his wife and kids. He's 2 now. And so when he gets taken, and they work him over, he's ready to die. But Alan the alien's like, nah, fuck that, I'm breaking out, and he does, and he starts fighting all these different aliens and shit, robots or whatever, and then he busts out all of these different. He's like, why should I have all the fun? Busts out all the prisoners. He busts out one of my favorite characters of all time right now, Battle Beast.
He's pretty badass.
And do you know who Battle Beast was voiced by and why it makes him even more endearing to me?
No, I don't. I did not look it up. Who is Battle Beast voiced by?
Michael Dorn, who played Worf in Star Trek, many Star Trek
really?
shows. Yes.
That's
which is why
awesome.
when he's like, you have no honor, it's like, oh my god, that's fucking Worf.
That's pretty sick, man. I did not realize that was him.
But that was also, he breaks Battle Beast out, and Battle Beast is like, he's this big ass fucking cat. And he's like, I want to kill something that is a challenge, that is honor. I want to kill Viltrumites. He's like, follow me. And so everyone gets killed in the fight to the Viltrumite where they're killing Nolan, except for Alan and Battle Beast. They get in. Battle Beast actually realizes that, oh no, I think you might have lied to me because you can't find the Viltrumites. I'm just going to kill you. You're worthy. And then Alan the alien hears what's going on. He opens the thing. They get into a big fight. They kill one of the Viltrumites, but Alan is like letting himself get the shit beat out of him. And I love this because he admits it later. He's doing it because he wants Nolan to step up and save him. He's testing Nolan, right?
Mhm.
Like, is this guy worth saving? Is he going to be on my side? And Nolan does it. He can't let his new friend die. He's been inflicted by the Earthers, you know? And then he fucking they beat the shit out of this guy. They get together, they punch his fucking head in, it explodes.
Oh my god, dude, that was one of the most brutal deaths on the show, and that says a lot because there's some really, really brutal deaths on Invincible, man. I mean, they just like punched his head into two different directions.
Ooh, yeah, it was bad, but they're Viltrumites, so it's okay.
Exactly.
And then it's like, hey, where did Battle Beast go? And where's that second Viltrumite? And then my student said this. I can't take credit for this, but I hope he says this, and I agree that we hope that this is just a running gag for the rest of the season, where because they cut to Battle Beast just ripping the shit of the Viltrumite, and he can't do anything, and they're just fucking like lost in space.
So they'll just be like randomly lost in space throughout the season.
No, right? Like it just keeps cutting back for 5 or 10 seconds of them. Battle Beast ripping the shit of the Viltrumite not being able to get away, and they're just stuck in space indefinitely like that.
Kind of like Peter fighting the chicken or something like that, like Family Guy or something.
Exactly. Exactly.
That would be great.
Because Battle Beast, you can't let Battle Beast go. That's Michael Dorn. But yeah, and then Nolan agrees. It's like, all right, well, I'm gonna help you, Alan. You're right. I've been infected. I miss my family. I fucked up. I want to make right for Earth and my family. And Alan goes, let's get out of here before more Viltrumites come. And this is the big reveal. Nolan goes, no one's coming. The big secret is there's like 50 of us left. And that's how we're going to beat them. And it's like, bang. And then narrator brings us back to Adam and Eve and Mark done getting it on, getting caught by their mom, and that happens. But like that Viltrumite reveal, that's huge.
Yeah, that is, because we were always led to believe that there was like this indefinite army of Viltrumites that were gonna like take over the universe.
Yeah.
But now that there's like a limited number, there's a fighting chance at this point.
Right. And I think that's the whole Viltrumite campaign, is to make you think there are like legions of them. And that's why he said, like, no one outside of the Viltrumite Empire knows this. And that's huge. And we also know that some of the Viltrumites are anti what they're doing, right? Because it's the Viltrumites that gave Alan the alien this power. So we're talking 50, but not all 50 are in the Viltrumite conspiracy here.
Yeah, and except for damn, what the hell was her name? The one that told Mark that she was going to send someone back even worse next time. I can't even remember her fucking name.
I don't remember her name. She the Viltrumite who came and threatened Earth. I don't remember.
And beat the shit out of Mark.
Oh yeah, clearly.
Yeah. So, no, it was I thought it was a pretty action-packed episode of it, and I do like these split into 2 separate episodes thing, so you don't have to worry about jumping back and forth and stuff like that. But good stuff. Not as in depth as the first 3 episodes, where I thought that we were dealing with some real heavy shit with it, but it's still good. In the overall scheme of things, it was a good episode.
Yeah, and I think honestly they needed to wrap up the Constitution thing, and they needed to get Nolan, feet on the ground, and Alan the alien. They need to again, maybe this is what Harley was doing last episode. Like, we're gonna give a good episode. It's gonna be fun. It's not gonna be groundbreaking, but it's gonna do what needs to be done. Because I also wouldn't be surprised if going forward, because of this Civil War split we're seeing, that we're not gonna see some issues with the God, I just said it like 100 times. The guy who never dies.
Oh, Immortal.
Immortal, thank you. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see some issues with Immortal, and maybe Mark's going to see some, shit breaking down the seams there, and some things he wouldn't have noticed unless he knew where this was going. And so that's why I think this is an episode that not the strongest on its own, though I do love that first. I did enjoy it a whole hell of a lot.
So did I.
Yeah. But I think that this is going to be an episode that we look back at the end of the season and go, that's what that meant.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's bounce it back over to Marvel then, as we got Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man episodes 6 through 8, since they had a second straight week of hitting us with 3 episodes here. I thought pretty impactful episodes, I think, here. There's a lot of stuff. Did it hook you in now, or are you fully hooked into Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man now, or are you kind of still?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes and no, but at this point, I know exactly what my issue is with it, and so I'm okay. Because I love a lot of what I'm seeing that I have never seen before, like stuff with Lonnie. I think that's my favorite part of it, like watching his journey becoming Tombstone, the emotional part of it, Nico Minoru. I actually really do like this Norman Osborn. These 3 episodes, fucking Harry has really grown on me, but hashtag cut that the man bun. The Scorpion was fucking fantastic. What I don't like about this is when it tries to live in both worlds.
Okay.
It's like, it's not in the MCU, but we're going to give you shot for shot shit from the MCU. I don't like that. Or it's not in the MCU, but here's Civil War. And it's either give me something original or give me something in the MCU, but don't try to live in both worlds. And when it is giving me original shit, even when Iron Man shows up, I think it's super cool because that's original shit. I'm really into it. So at least I understand what my problem is now.
Yeah, well, I also still do. Again, I still am taking the show with that being, again, the sort of, I think it's just basically the Norman Osborn in for Tony Stark as the mentor thing. And that's kind of where the show kind of goes off on his own. And they do double down on the whole Norman being his mentor in these 3 episodes, and especially in episode 8 when he hits him with the line, but it's twisted now. And now Norman, to me, what I'm guessing here is Norman's whole thing is becoming clearer. And I think what this show is trying to do is becoming a little bit more clear to me now. Even though I was on board since episode 1, but I'm liking it more because of the whole aspect of it's becoming clearer that if Norman was Peter's mentor, what path was he trying to push him down? Right? And I think for the character of Peter Parker Spider-Man, that is really interesting to me of where that could go. Because they even show you, they dangle more of Uncle Ben in this, and we get Aunt May giving a speech to Peter in this. But then when he tries to go ahead and turn to somebody that he trusts for consultation, he goes to Norman Osborn. And Norman's response about, and I'll go back to more details in a second, but it's in episode 8 where he goes to, with great power comes great respect, and tells him, it's about him telling Peter not to pull his punches anymore because his villains won't. That's obviously the wrong advice to give Peter Parker, especially a young Peter Parker who's just learning to be Spider-Man. And that's where I find it so interesting in what they're trying to do with this show. And obviously Peter will course correct at some point, but this being his start, I'm really all about it because it's a different spin on the character. Again, we've seen Peter Parker, his whole story 1,000 times at this point. This is something new, which is why I'm kind of digging it, that we're getting something a little bit different here. All right.
Yeah, and I do like that. I've actually I think him and Norman being his mentor, I think that works very well. And I agree with you. Like that twist of the knife. With great
Yes.
power becomes great respect. It's kind of like I do and I don't want this Spider-Man to kind of take that. Like I want to see what happens if this Spider-Man bases his whole persona off of that instead of responsibility. And I want to see the difference there.
Well, that's what I wonder, because we're definitely not there yet. And over these last 2 episodes, we might not get there. This might be just the whole point of this show, or the conflicting thing. I mean, I'll save my thoughts on what I think we're going to get in the finale next week or later this week. Make that. But quickly, episode 6, Jason. We get a shot of Norman Osborn suiting up to go to a. He's going to go meet up with Thunderbolt Ross, which is ironic that we're getting Thunderbolt Ross in this as well.
Yes.
But the 007 reference that we get there, as they kind of play the music, I thought was pretty funny. I thought of you immediately when we got that.
That was awesome. Yep.
Because he's got the whole black tux, and then it's supposed to be Peter's night off, but May sets up Uncle Ben is like looming over these 3 episodes, where she sets up his Uncle Ben's old VCR while she's going out and leaves it because you could have Harry's going to hang out with Peter, and then they're going to go ahead and they're going to hang out with Nico in Peter's apartment, and they're going to watch movies. So they're trying to decide on a movie, and Jason, they fucking land on Predator.
They do, which is a great land. But Ed, I'm going to say this. How do you feel knowing that the medium that was groundbreaking to you as a kid to watch movies at home,
yes,
is now being used as a gag on old people here? Because this is retro. Oh my God, these kids are like, VHS, how do I use this? Is it going to eat my hand? Oh, I don't know what to do with this thing.
Yeah, they didn't know how to put the tape in or anything like that. It was. I thought it was pretty funny, and the fact that they had it wasn't the original version of Predator. It was definitely a copied version. We used to write on the label.
Yeah.
That's how I had Predator.
Yeah, Uncle Ben was like my stepfather in the sense that he taped every fucking movie off HBO in the 80s. And it was one of those like, this is when I was a kid, it was like, this is a video, and if you stretch it as hard as you can, it's a 3-movie fucking video. Short movies, hour and a half, but you can get 3 movies on there. My stepfather had this whole fucking collection of 100 VHSs.
So did I.
Like 3 movies each on them. Yep.
That was my move. I told you, my legendary tape was Predator, RoboCop, Cobra.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a great fucking triple feature.
How great is that? How many? What's the body count on that tape itself?
God, I don't know. I don't know, but I'd buy that for $1 for sure.
Well done. Nice. I like that.
Thank you.
Well done. So the crew is over there watching VHS tapes. They're playing. By the way, they also were playing board games, mashing them up, which is kind of what we did a couple of weeks ago with our trivia game.
True. Yeah, it's true.
Right? So I had hosted trivia night and had Jason and Jimmy
but look,
and my friend Steve over, and my wife
game.
Angie jumped in. Huh?
Yep, that was great. We played. It was Harry Potter. It was Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street, and it was Seinfeld.
Yes, all mashed together. One big trivia game.
And I believe that I turned out to be a Slytherin with Kramer leanings, who died after having sex in a bad dream with a machete through his heart. I think that's how it ended. I'm not sure.
Sounds
I was kind of drunk.
I'm not gonna challenge you on that one. But it was pretty cool to see the things that the crew was doing there. But then Peter gets a phone call from Norman, gets pulled away because he finds out someone's broke into Oscorp, and he doesn't know who it is. So he's got to get Peter. he's convincing Peter, oh, it's going to be 1, 2, 3 on the scene. He shows up because none of the security at Oscorp are answering. And long and behold, fucking Daredevil is the one who's there. Awesome. With the Netflix Daredevil theme playing, by the way, in the background of an awesome fight between the two.
Yep, and I love that fight. And what I love so much about it is Peter literally says, oh, like he knows who he is. You're the devil. I don't want to fight you, but I got to impress Mr. Osborn. And Daredevil's like, well, you're not going to beat me, but I don't want to hurt you either. Like, it was a great moment. Like, he doesn't say that, but like, he beats Spider-Man very handily, as well as he should, because Spider-Man's very green at this point. Mm-hmm. But he doesn't try to hurt him. He's like, sorry, kid, and takes off. And I love that moment.
Well, also, Daredevil, you know, he's having the conversation with him, and Peter's like kind of like giving himself all the kudos and stuff like that. How he's like, hey, I'm a top 5. This is a top 5 fight of mine. Like, how about you? He goes, I don't really pay attention to that stuff, but it is pretty cool because he knows he's fighting a kid, like Daredevil does. And
absolutely,
he knocks him out with his billy club and everything, and he's also telling him, like, you know, he's like, yeah, Peter's like, yeah, I'm pretty good at this and stuff. He goes, well, but you're not pretty good at fighting though, and that's when he like basically beats his ass. But this fight is going on pretty crazy, where it's jumping onto a helicopter. They're fighting on helicopter blades. This is all taking place on a roof. It was pretty cool shit here. But nice cameo over it. I do wonder when we're going to get Kingpin involved at some point, because I know Vincent D'Onofrio is voicing Kingpin in the series. So I'd imagine we're going to see him.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. So, because this was Charlie Cox as Daredevil in this. He did voice.
Oh, what's it, Charlie Cox? I didn't look.
Yes, it was Charlie Cox.
Perfect. So, you know what I love? I love that guys, no, I'm always Daredevil. No. I do this voice. Because Tom Holland's not doing this. No one in the Spider-Man verse is doing these voices. But Charlie Cox, like, no, you tried to replace me once? No. I don't care if Daredevil is on screen for 2 seconds ordering a ham sandwich. It's going to be my voice going, ham sandwich, please.
Yeah, he is all in on Daredevil. And Vincent D'Onofrio is all in on Kingpin. So I'm, it's always happy to see that. But then Nico and Harry, while they're being left alone, while Peter went to go get soda for the crew at the store, while this is all going on, basically they have a conversation here. They're having some fun and some little bit of awkward moments here. But ultimately, they're trying to go ahead and just smooth things over, right? Because they realize they're both hanging out with Peter. Peter's trying to get them both to be friends. He even lays out an algebra thing at one point where he's like, well, Peter plus Harry equals friendship, and Peter plus Nico equals friendship.
Yes.
So therefore, you would assume Harry plus Nico equals friendship. Which more or less is you would assume it would be the case. But then Harry accidentally spits out that about knowing Peter's secret. Because Nico's bragging about all the stuff she knows and stuff like that. And Harry babbles out that Peter is Spider-Man. And that obviously throws everything for a loop then.
And this right here is why I'm 100% Team Peter here. Tell no one ever. And we've had this discussion on this podcast, Ed.
Many
if
times.
You're a superhero, I'm going to tell you. And here's why. Because when someone knows, you didn't even need a fucking genius with psychic powers who could read your mind. It's just Harry going, oh, you know his secret? All his secrets? You know he's Spidey-Man? I mean, this is the fact that Nico is pissed at him aggravates me because this right here is why you tell no one.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And at the end of this episode, we see Matt Gargan getting suited up by Otto Octavius, which we both saw coming from a mile away that was going to be how the Scorpion suit was going to happen. And that goes right into episode 8, where, you had mentioned right there, Nico's upset with Peter at school, and Pearl is upset with Lonnie. Both Lonnie and Peter are keeping secrets from the other, but Pearl doesn't really know. Also, very different things. I do like the duality between Peter and Lonnie going ahead and keeping
Yes.
their secret situations there, but for drastically different reasons. But I think they both have somewhat of the right intentions of wanting to protect that other person that they're not telling the
Agreed.
secret to.
Agreed. But here's the big difference, right? Like, Lonnie gets an out,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't take it.
Yep.
And that's the big difference. But I agree with you. I think part of why I love this Lonnie story so much, and I'm not a big Tombstone head. I'm not a guy who's like, Tombstone is the best. I don't know anything about him except from the video games. And I own his action figure, and usually Jessica Jones is beating the shit out of him in my display.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, she could. I mean, she's one of the few people who could,
Sure.
you know. But what I love about this is that kind of parallel between him and Lonnie and Peter about, yeah, you're right. Like, I have to live a secret life. I have to do this for my friends. I have to, my family. I'm protecting people. And so that's why I think it's like interesting that like Lonnie gets the out and he doesn't take it. And it's not stupid. I wasn't sitting there going, Lonnie, you're such a fucking idiot. I was like, Lonnie, you're a good guy, and I get where your intentions are coming from, but you've misplaced your loyalty. But that's the really interesting part of how the character is written.
Yeah, so Lonnie's dealing with a lot of shit in this, like a lot of shit. You can understand why it is, but you're right. He does keep getting outs, I feel like, but then keeps on choosing to go the opposite way. So he is making the choice, which he thinks it's a noble choice, but not really necessarily, as we'll dive into more, you know, as the episode goes on. I do think there was a really funny thing here where there was another cool nod that Norman and Peter are there trying to track down Octavius through his old technology, because the technology did come from Oscorp at one point. And we do find out that they're trying to track the power source. One of the potential sources is tritium, which is a Spider-Man 2 reference that's there. Also, another Spider-Man 2 reference is when Norman says that he doubts that Otto found a way to harness the power of the sun.
Yes, I caught that one.
All right? I thought that was pretty funny.
And I don't know how it is in the comic because I haven't read comics in a while, but the relationship between Norman and Otto is very much their relationship in the Spider-Man game, which shows Otto being like Spider-Man's. It's not the same thing, but Otto is Spider-Man's mentor and becomes Dr. Octopus because of his hatred of Norman Osborn. And so it's cool to see that played out here, but swapped.
Mm-hmm. So Otto basically goes ahead and we find out that he's using gamma radiation to power his tech, which would also, you know, a nod to Bruce Banner and everything like that, where gamma radiation is being used here, and he's been name dropped as well. So I'd be shocked if we don't see the Hulk at some point soon. But Harry also tries to smooth things over with Nico, where, you know, he ends up taking her to buy her like pizza and stuff like that, and they have a conversation on the roof, and then it's not really going so well. But Peter, he's also explaining like why he thinks Peter, you know, is kind of trying to keep her out of it, like trying to save her and stuff like that. And she's just coming off very jealous of Harry, like, oh, you know, whenever he blows things off that, you know, that we have planned, he's off with you playing superhero stuff. Which, like you mentioned, I wasn't really buying that part of it, because I'm kind of like, Nico, like, if you know what Spider-Man's doing, why are you jealous? It's like, he's obviously out there fighting crime.
Yeah, right. He's not out there having a fucking slumber party with Harry and not inviting you. He's out there fighting bad guys. And I think Harry even says, he didn't tell me. I found out. It was an accident.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't like her jealousy over that. Like, I'm sorry, but look, if I'm your best friend and you are a superhero, please don't ever fucking tell me. I don't want to know. It's stupid to be mad about this.
That's true. I wasn't 100% bought in on Nico's, story arc right here. But nonetheless, Harry goes ahead and ends up trying to teach Nico how to drive. At this point, it ends up into a fucking Fast and the Furious style drag race that was going on here in the streets of Queens. And I did think it was the guy Clev, that guy who we saw in Spider-Man Homecoming and who also popped up in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, who was selling hot dogs again and ends up like running the street race in here, and he's like filming it. I thought that was pretty cool. But I thought that was a nice fun thing. So there's a lot of bonding with Nico and Harry throughout these episodes, to be around Peter. Pearl finds out about Lonnie through his about 110th Street gang, through his little brother. She goes to the base where they're at. They're talking. Matt Gargan then shows up, and all fucking hell breaks loose. Like, Jason, he kills one of the 110th Street gang. They cut away from him, but he clearly stabs him. He murders him.
He does.
I thought that jumped up a notch for this. Yes, he does.
Yeah. No, I love this. Like, if you ask me, my favorite part of these 3 episodes, this man. I really, and again, because I didn't see this in the MCU, right? Mm-hmm. I was curious about the MCU's version of the Scorpion, which I'm likely not going to get. I get it here, and it's fucking awesome. And this is the moment, too, that I was talking about where, because Lonnie's there and Pearl is there as well. Pearl, that's her name, right? And Lonnie's trying to protect her. Spider-Man eventually comes. When this is all over, she actually says to him, most of the gang is dead.
Yeah.
You could just leave and no one would know. And he doesn't. And this is the moment I was talking about.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He has multiple outs throughout these 2 episodes, 7 and 8, and chooses not to do it, which is why this is starting to turn on to Lonnie. Even though he does think his choice is noble, but clearly not really the case. On top of that, there's also some of the things he tells Pearl in the school, where he's just like that the school doesn't really need him, and he doesn't want to, not having to live up to what he thought he was supposed to be, and now he gets to kind of like be a little bit free of that. I think is starting to be part of the motivation there. So,
yeah, I think so. And you even have that moment between him and his brother, where his brother's like, "I'm the fuck up. You're the one who's supposed to do right. This isn't right." And his brother, if you remember, is the listeners, the one that he kind of subbed himself into to save. Mm-hmm. So again, that's my favorite character in this whole series.
Yeah, but Jason, that fight between Scorpion and Spider-Man was sick. It was an all-out drag him out fight that's going on here, and then Scorpion basically Spider-Man thinks he's won, right? Like, he empties out the web shooters and stuff like that. He's talking to Norman over the comms, who coaches him on to get the win, or the perceived win. Yeah, takes out the headphones, thinks he's done. He's going back to trying to track down Otto, because that's really that seems to be his most important thing, because we do start to see Norman as like about that, and he seems to be about meeting with General Ross and his government contracts and stuff like that. And he's kind of like showing him off like he's got his own superhero here as well, because he does show him Spider-Man, but doesn't reveal that it's Peter Parker. Has to do with the Sokovia Accords that are here. And then the gamma radiation in Scorpion's suit starts to heat up, breaks him free, and he takes down Peter. And you're right, he fucking takes the Scorpion tail, stabs Peter through the chest with it.
Yeah.
And that sets off an alarm that goes to Norman, who has to send something. Now, what saves him? Okay, what I thought it was going to be Daredevil. That was gonna save Peter's ass in this point. What did you think?
I had no idea.
Okay,
I had no idea. I just he hit something. Something was coming. I was very happy with what saved him. I'm just gonna say that. I'll let you reveal it, but I was very happy.
So Norman Osborn ends up sending the fucking glider. to go ahead and save him,
Yes.
which we haven't seen Norman be the Green Goblin yet. But this is definitely projecting forward of what is soon to come. And I actually think it's going to happen in one of the finale episodes. My guess is
I think so too.
Yeah, we're going to get Spider-Man versus Green Goblin for sure.
This is Chekhov's glider. If you introduce a glider in the first act, it has to carry the Green Goblin in the second.
Absolutely. But that's where we end off, and like in episode 7, which leads into episode 8, where Peter wakes up in a hospital bed, beat to fucking hell. And one key thing I wanted to take away from that, because Norman's talking to him and stuff like that, basically telling him, hey, your suit's totaled. You can't go back out there. Peter's fighting him. I need to go out there. I got to stop him and stuff like that. But he's also doubting himself a lot, because now he's tasted defeat for the first time. Mm-hmm. So he doesn't really know what to do. His confidence is clearly shaken here. But Jason, somebody draws blood from Peter in that. And I do wonder if that's what's going to lead to what Norman ended up takes to become the Green Goblin.
Oh, I didn't even clock that.
That's what my guess is. I think it was somewhat purposeful that they showed the blood being drawn.
Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, no, clearly that's going to be important shit.
Because I do think my guess here is Norman wants to have Peter's power. He wants that power for himself. Or, he's going to try to sell it as a government contract or some shit like that.
Yeah. No, I think you're right in the first part. I think he wants it for himself. That's the point. Yeah. Because that is a very Norman Osborn thing.
Mm-hmm. So then after that, we get Ross is leading a SWAT team because Norman basically rats out Otto, and they go to his base. Otto fights off the SWAT team with tentacles, but they're not attached to him, though. Not yet, at least.
Not yet. But, dude, that fucking scene is awesome. Because he's like, oh, hey, you're here. All right, you're done now.
Dude, Otto is so cocky.
He literally walks out, and even with the in front of him, he's like, yeah, it's okay. And then Iron Man comes down, and he goes, oh, you call that the big guns. And he literally just fucking assumes the position. Even in that, I was like, that is badass.
Yeah. Otto Octavius is so cocky, so smug, and he's pretty badass in there. And I'm waiting to see once he gets the arms attached to him.
I can't wait to see him as Dr. Octopus.
So Peter's doubts delve into, we see him having nightmares as well. Like, that's how shaken to his own core that he is throughout this episode. He's, Nico is in there and his fights with her, his whole situation that's going on there, Scorpion and everything like that. Like, Peter's really going through it in episode 8, which, then Lonnie goes to Pearl's house because they're working, he's basically working on the science projects now with Pearl because Lonnie has been dropped out of things. Lonnie shows up, sees that's there. I thought it was going to go a different way, but not really. And Lonnie basically chooses the 1/10 over Pearl because she lays down an ultimatum saying, hey, you saw what was there. You have the ability to get out, and you're not choosing to get out because he insists that he's got to see this through to the end. And she's not buying it. He chooses the 1/10 over her. Do you think Pearl, they're going to start shipping Peter towards Pearl now? Because I kind of saw it. No, I was wondering about that a little bit.
I think, look, this show is very good at making us wonder if they're going to do one thing and then doing the opposite.
Yeah, it's been hard to totally predict exactly how this is going to go, which is good writing.
I agree. I think it's a very well written show, and I think that the show wants us to think this and they ship Pearl and Peter, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think just like in Homecoming, right? We were supposed to ship Peter and
Liz,
the Vulture's kid.
Yeah.
And then that was flipped on its head, and I think that's what they're doing, especially because they are aping a lot of important moments of the MCU Peter Parker I think that's what they're doing here specifically. But I think they're doing it well enough where I'm not aggravated about it because, again, I really like Lonnie, and I love the moments where you think Peter and Lonnie are going to fucking not like each other, but then they do. And even in the moment you're about to talk about where he confronts him, like, it's a nice moment of friends together, disagreeing, but it's not like bully versus bullied, which is what we're used to with Peter Parker.
Yeah, so Peter runs into takes the time to step out before Pearl gets back in her house and confronts Lonnie and basically tries to talk him down off it. And he's just like, listen, you don't understand. I got to do this. He goes, but please don't get in my way. Like, don't try to do this. So it is respectfully done. And Peter and Lonnie are friends there that have this disagreement, even though Peter tries to explain, hey, I know more than you think I do, without completely outing himself, because he's seen it. He's seen the 1/10. He's seen the Scorpion. He's seen the danger that Lonnie's in, and he's trying to save his friend here. And then we get to the point where Peter seeks out Norman for the chat and tries to go, because he needs someone that he really respects and like is to the level of like May and everything. And that's why I think it's fascinating that he sees Uncle Ben's picture on the fridge, right, with Aunt May and with himself. And there's been a lot of references with Uncle Ben throughout these 3 episodes. And that's what leads me to believe, like, they're just basically saying, like, this is his mentor, this is his father figure right now, is Norman Osborn. And it can be extremely dangerous because of what we know about Norman Osborn, ultimately, unless that's going to get spin on its head, but I don't think so. I think it's slowly revealing itself throughout this season.
Yeah. With the glider and his sides on the Sokovia Accords and him calling Peter, and the fact that Daredevil, we know is a good guy because we've all watched the first 3 seasons of Daredevil and read some comics, is like, you don't know what you're fighting for. Like, all of that builds to Norman's the bad guy.
Yeah. And Norman has that conversation I mentioned earlier. He wants Peter to start pulling his punches and tells him, with great power comes great respect. Like, basically, you need to make your opponents fear you and respect you. You have to earn their respect by showing them how powerful you truly are, which is the way Norman does shit and gets shit done. Basically, overpowering people and showing you why you need to respect them. Now, is it respect or is it fear? Who knows? Some will say, from Norman's perspective, it's one and the same problem.
Yeah, I mean, is there a difference?
Exactly.
In certain like views. Yeah, there is.
Yeah. But then the 110th Street Gang finds out, like, hey, they know about Matt Gargan now. They know his thing. They get their own informant, which turns out to be the Chameleon, which I had called who it was.
Yes,
Dimitri.
You called that
a couple of weeks ago.
Fucking called that.
So we get some Chameleon action. He basically tells them all they need to know about Otto Octavius. They figure they're going to get their own tech to go ahead and take on Scorpion, which curious to see how that goes there with that setup. But then Peter wants to get back out there at the end of this episode. And he has this conversation with Harry, and Harry basically tells him, to go ahead and to do it. And he's just like that he had a new suit made for him. And we don't see the suit, but we see the reflection through Peter's glasses when he sees the suit. And you see the red there and everything like that. And blue's like, basically looks like it's going to be a traditional Spider-Man outfit, which we also said he'll have by the end of the season. But Harry hits him with the line, by the way, with MJ's line saying, "Go get him, Tiger."
That was weird. I thought
that was weird.
That was weird. Yeah, I did catch that. It was weird, but
yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe him and Harry wind up together.
What you want to see? You want to see some?
It's funny. Oh my God! Forget it. Oh, it's so woke. It's funny because Walter, my co-teacher, who's been on the show a bunch of times. He's behind me in this, and he asked me what I thought. I was telling him, and it's funny because we were talking about it, and he was like, "Yeah, I like this a lot, but the animation is weird."
I dig the animation a lot. I do. I liked what they're going for with the whole throwback Steve Ditko / modern. I don't know. I
Yeah.
like it. I'm on board.
It's fine. But then his second thing was, I really don't like the white suit that he has. And I had seen, of course, Where I Am, because where he saw was the last way he first gets it. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. Don't get attached.
Exactly. Learn to let
Yeah.
things go. Don't get too attached.
That's right. It's gone. Don't worry about it. It'll be fine.
I want my bird.
My bird. Well, we're going to be doing that soon, aren't we?
Yeah, soon. We'll get to Iron Man soon enough. So I'm looking forward to that.
We brought you a bird. I want my bird.
Wants my bird. Wants my bird. All right, so I don't know. I'm pretty psyched, man, for the season finale, for the 2-episode season finale that drops on Wednesday, man.
Yeah.
I've been digging this. It could be partial to because it's a Spider-Man story and it's a well-written, told one, but I don't know. I like it. I'm pretty hyped, man.
Yeah, I think for the most part, I'm really liking this. Again, my only dings are when it's like I'm taken out of it, where it's like we're in the MCU, guys. That bothers me, but it's not enough where I don't like it. Like again, I love the Lonnie stuff. I love a lot of this stuff. So yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes too.
All right, and then that will bring us to our movie of the week. Then, as you've been counting down, you've been following us. We did cover the last 3 Captain America movies leading up to Captain America: Brave New World, which dropped on Thursday night for preview night, but officially on Friday. Doing pretty good at the box office as well. Jason going and blipped out for a second. But to cover this, we will be bringing in PCP's own Tim. Tim, what's up, man?
I still say New World Order. Screw that. I like it better than Brave New World.
I don't know. It would have been a little too close to home with NWO. So I don't know. Whatever. I don't give a shit, to be honest. It didn't do anything for me one way or the other. But I thought the New World Order thing was funny, and we never would have stopped with like NWO jokes like throughout the entire time.
That would have been great.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, movies doing pretty good at the box office, right? Like they exceeded expectations. Just a smidge under 200 million at the worldwide box office, but you know how it goes. Like for financial stuff, we'll see if it's got legs these next couple of weeks where they can. Because I think I read that they have to do. Is it 450 to 500 to break even with this movie? I think so. I think that's what I'd read, but I mean, well, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But overall, Rotten Tomatoes is around 50%, which I kind of could understand with the critic score, but the audience score was around 80%, which I don't know. That kind of checks out to me. I can kind of see that based on my opinions of this whole thing.
Yeah, this is an incredibly likable movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Like, Tim and I were chatting about it, Jason. We chatted about it like when we got out of the theater on Thursday night. Listen, my quick overall thoughts on this movie. I liked it. I've seen it twice now. I got to see it on IMAX 3D on Saturday. I saw it in regular format on Thursday night. I liked it just the same both times. I think it's an enjoyable movie. It's an MCU movie that does some stuff that MCU movies have been getting knocked for in phases 4 and 5, where one of the knocks have been that it doesn't feel connected to anything. Like these movies all kind of feel like they're on their own little island. But this movie is extremely grounded into the MCU to the point where the criticism I'm seeing is that it's to a fault. Like,
yeah, it's the fact is the others were their own little island, and this one is all grounded on Celestial Island, and both are a problem.
Whoa. I'm just saying, like, is it a perfect movie? Is it a top tier MCU movie? In my opinion, no, it's not. But it's also, I don't know in the tiers where it falls. I know it's not a top tier MCU movie. And as much as I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed most of the MCU movies, there's only a couple that I don't really love over time. It doesn't have to be.
MCU movies are not top tier MCU movies. And the fact you said this, Ed, the fact that if we're going to compare everything to Endgame and fucking Infinity War, then nothing's ever going to be good ever.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, you're right. If that's the bar that's been set, right? And it's almost just like, did the MCU kind of like damage itself by making Infinity War and Endgame so fucking good that now that's the standard? It's a little bit unfair, but but also it's just such a weird movie to discuss though, because on one hand I feel like the movie's being overhated, but then on the other hand there are issues that this movie has. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I don't think, in my opinion. But it's still not. I still wouldn't call it bad. I still enjoyed myself. I had a good time with it. It feels like an MCU movie. It furthers the MCU overall story. I think it finally heads in a direction, and it also like addresses stuff that happened previously in the MCU. So there, I mean that's kind of, it does check some boxes that you need it to be, but again, being like honest, yeah, there are some things, but I think there are mostly technical stuff I had issues with, like filmmaking type stuff as well. Like there's some clunky editing at times. The dialogue's a little weird at a couple of points. These bad green screen in a couple of shots that doesn't make any sense to me, because there are things that look great about this, great in this movie, but then you randomly have these other shots in the same scene that doesn't work. And I'm referring to like the end, when with the fight between Captain America and Red Hulk. There's a couple of random shots that stick out like a sore thumb, where it's like really awful green screen. I don't know. It's just that. Tim, what are you haven't spoke much. What do you got here on the overall stuff for this movie?
Yeah, same thing. You know, I heard going into this movie, I heard, the whining and the bitching, of course, and I'm like, oh well, now I sounded a little nervous, but I enjoyed this movie a lot. I did. I said, is it top 10? No. Is it bottom 10? No. It's very enjoyable. You can tell reshoots were done. You can tell, like you said, the green screen stuff. You know, I don't think sometimes these people are in the same room talking to each other. You can tell some of that shit happened. But overall, like you said, people are bitching, oh, they're ignoring the giant island that came up out of the ocean. Well, guess what? Here's your fucking giant island in the ocean. And it's a major, major plot point going forward now, because of its adamantium. Made out of adamantium or whatever. So guess what? They did it. I'm happy with it. Like you said, the dialogue was a little clunky. Just like
at times.
How many times did Ross have to say, "Have you heard from Betty, my daughter? You know, my daughter."
Yeah, I agree.
And like you saying who Betty was. You know, like, we hardcore fans know who Betty is. You don't got to keep saying my daughter or back and forth, but we get it. Some people might have forgotten about that whole thing. But overall, I liked it. I liked it a lot. So I don't know what people like to bitch about.
Yeah, well, I again I don't know. Well, before we get into the detail, Jason, you said you had, what were your, I guess, your overall thoughts on it? You said you had a good time with it, but you had a couple of issues with a couple of things that were in it.
Yeah, I like this movie a lot. My critiques were this: I thought Harrison Ford was terrible. I know you guys are going to disagree with me. I don't care. He's fucking terrible. He's an old man going blah, 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 blah. And maybe it's just because I really enjoyed William Hurt, who did this role, and thought that William Hurt could have hit some of these emotional beats that he was supposed to hit, and Harrison Ford didn't, because Harrison Ford just grumbled like an old man. I didn't like him at all. That was my knock, though. And the writing, like Tim said, like, my daughter, I agree with that. I did, however, really enjoy Mackey's performance. I really enjoyed Sidewinder. I wish he would have been more. The fucking leader was the perfect villain. And this felt like, I don't think it was as good, obviously, as Winter Soldier, but I felt it was like a spiritual successor, in the sense that Winter Soldier dealt with, the government conspiracy theory of KGB agents being brainwashed, and this was an extension of, okay, well, technological creatures, technological aspects being brainwashing people and taking them over, and I thought that was cool, and I really liked it a lot. And Isaiah Bradley was fucking awesome in this. I love seeing him again.
Yeah. So all right. So let's get into like the character breakdown then of this thing. Anthony Mackie taking over now. Sam Wilson taking over as Captain America now. We did see this arc play out through a lot of the films, starting with Captain America: The Winter Soldier, which is when Sam Wilson was introduced. Throughout Civil War, throughout both Avengers: Infinity War and Endgame. Mostly in Infinity War because he was blipped for most of Endgame until he does have one of the best lines in the movie with "On Your Left" and that callback. But then he also got like a lot of time. He got his own series with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, leading up to this. He's clearly established as Captain America now in the MCU here. He's known. People have kind of, for the most part, accepted him here as this. He still has some doubts throughout the film, which is fine. It's not to like an annoying point, but they do address the elephant in the room of Sam Wilson is not a super soldier. Doesn't have the serum. That gets addressed a couple of times to a funny part when he's fighting Red Hulk at the end of the movie, and even says, like Bucky was full of shit. Like I should have took the super soldier serum, and it would have helped him out there in that battle. Even though the super soldier serum didn't really help Blonsky too much, we're back in Incredible Hulk when he fucking punches him straight on, and he goes reeling into that tree. He gets turned into sauce essentially. So I'm not sure how much that would have helped Sam. But Mackie's performance in this and him being Captain America, I mean, I'm ready for him to lead the Avengers now, like going forward. I mean, was my takeaway of that was one of his main plot points. And this is that the idea of reforming the Avengers was thrown out there, but the terms of under which it happens is the whole back and forth with him and Ross throughout this. Tim, what did you think of Captain America in this movie?
Yeah, absolutely. Anthony Mackie, he nails it. Even though like Harrison said, you're not Steve Rogers. No, he's not Steve Rogers, and he's not going to be Steve Rogers. He's not going to even be Chris Evans. Chris Evans was perfect casting in my part. But Anthony Mackie, I think, is also perfect casting as far as this Captain America. He makes you feel the doubt that he's feeling. He makes you feel like everything that he's going through. You feel that through this movie, and I really like that about it. And I am looking for. Even I had doubts of Anthony Mackie. Can he be the leader of the new Avengers? Can he possibly have the voice to be the leader of the new Avengers? I think now, absolutely, he can. So now I'm looking forward to see what more he can do.
Yeah, Jason.
Yeah, no, I agree. I really enjoyed him. I also had my doubts. Like I've only seen him as Falcon. I thought Winter Soldier was good. I liked him as Falcon, but seeing him in the role, seeing him like carry this movie, he carries this movie. I don't think there's any two ways about it. Like whether you dislike the movie or not, you can't tell me that he's not doing a really good job as the leading man carrying this movie.
Yeah, I am. Like I said, I'm all in with him being the new leader of the Avengers and Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars that we have coming down. I'm curious to know if we're going to see him before then. Do we see him popping in post-credit scenes, kind of like recruiting this new Avengers team? Which I had an interesting conversation with Angie and Rick separately about who the Avengers will be in a year from now, because Avengers Doomsday comes out next year. So, I mean, we're going to have the Avengers sooner than it feels like. It always felt like those movies were so many years away, but it's only a year away for the first one. But Tim, I agree. He does a good job at being a leading man and carrying this movie. And yeah, I don't know. It's pretty good. And I do like the fact that they address the not super soldier serum, because those are some fans have been like, oh, he's not Captain America. He doesn't have a super soldier serum. But that's not why he is Captain America. And if you think that Captain America is just the super soldier serum, then you don't really understand Captain America in the least.
Yeah, and I love that. And we talked about this after the movie, Ed. Like, Steve Rogers says, "I trust people." Right? That's his thing. I believe in people. I don't believe in governments. I believe in people. Which, oh my God, Anthony Mackie said something similar, and we hate him. But anyway, the whole thing is he trusted the fact that Falcon was going to be a good successor, not because he was a superpowered, but because of who he was. And the whole thing, the whole way he ends this movie is using his innate ability to empathize with people and talks the Red Hulk down. Like, that's why Captain America fucking chose him. It's never about the ability, because Captain America wasn't about the ability. Captain America was able to overcome the fact that he was a scrawny kid in the 40s and everyone hated scrawny kids in the 40s because of the super soldier serum. But what made Captain America great was not the serum and not his strength. It was his ability to surmise people and understand people, as shown at the end of fucking Winter Soldier, or the end of Winter Soldier, when he essentially gets his fucking job done and says, "All right, Bucky, kill me if you want to. I know you won't." Right? This is the whole point of Captain America, and this is his successor for that reason.
Yeah, Tim, I know you haven't been on with us the past few weeks, but like we went over this. When you watch Captain America: The First Avenger, when you watch Winter Soldier, when you watch Civil War, and even in the first Avengers movie, and throughout the Avengers movies as well, it's true. It's what Steve Rogers' real superpower is him going, like, he will go to the mat for the ideals of what the whole Captain America part is him believing in the ideals of what America, like, should be striving for, what it's supposed to be, like doing the right thing. It's not because of that. Even like that line in the Avengers where Tony's like, "Oh, everything special about you came out of a bottle." Mm-hmm. Like, it was a diss that was there, but that's not really true, man. Unless you really believe that, then that's where, like, those who are like doubting Sam Wilson being Captain America, I guess you really believe what Tony Stark said being the truth.
Oh, remember too, the doctor said it in the first one. He points to his heart. So
Yep.
The serum does not make you special. I didn't pick you because you were the biggest, the toughest, the baddest. I picked you because of your heart and what you believe in. And that's exactly the entire character.
Exactly.
Now, can Sam Wilson lift Mjolnir? Probably not yet. But he could be on his way there if he keeps up the way he does what he does.
Yeah. And even him doubting himself, the conversation he has, and again, we're talking spoilers here, so if you didn't see the movie, then come back and check us out another time. He has this conversation with Bucky in the movie, who's reaffirming, because even Sam says that Steve made the wrong choice because he can't protect everybody. And he even says, Steve had the super soldier serum and he couldn't protect everybody around him either. Like reaffirming, he chose you because you're you. And for those asking for Bucky to be Captain America, Tim, great point. But whoever's Captain America should be able to pick up Mjolnir, essentially. Bucky, due to his past, not picking up Mjolnir. As much as I love Bucky.
Murdered too many people.
A couple of murders here and there.
Too much red in that ledger.
Exactly.
I do ask a question here now that you brought this up. We know that an elevator can lift Mjolnir. Can Bucky's metallic arm lift Mjolnir, and does that count? Because the arm
it was an accomplice in murder too many times now.
All right, what if he gets it replaced?
Sure, wait, he does have the Wakandan metal arm now, so maybe. It's a possibility.
So is the metric that he can lift it with the metal arm, but if he can't lift it with the real arm, he's not Captain America? I'm just trying to get this all sussed out for legal reasons.
That's what it is. He has to be able to pick it up with the blood and flesh arm. And the elevator wouldn't move, by the way. The elevator would sink. Even though you pressed up, it would sink.
It depends. If the elevator ever fucked you up, if it ever made someone late,
yes, the elevator broke down at some point.
The elevator would be judged.
Exactly. The other, I would say, co-main lead in this movie is Harrison Ford's Thunderbolt Ross. Jason, whatever you think of like his performance or may not, there is a lot of his story that's picked up that's gone throughout a lot of these movies because there's a lot of references made to the incident in Harlem and him being,
Agreed.
chasing down the Hulk and everything like that throughout the years. It's picked up there. And then also his relationship with Samuel Stearns post what happened in Harlem. So there's a lot of references to the Incredible Hulk, which was 2008. I can't believe how fucking long ago that was. This is a pretty fairly old movie at this point.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
But yeah, he has a story arc throughout this movie of him trying to find redemption. He's trying to find redemption in the eyes of his daughter, which we had mentioned. He reminds the audience many times that Betty is his daughter. Many, many times.
Betty, my daughter Betty.
Yeah. But I don't know. I think he has an interesting arc throughout this because we find out that Thunderbolt Ross also did some shitty things to Samuel Stearns post what happened in Harlem. Seeing that he had gamma radiation that was leaking onto him, instead of pulling it out, he fucking upped the dose. Once he got smart enough, he used him as his strategist and fucking leaned into it, which leads into why Samuel Stearns wants his fucking revenge on Thunderbolt Ross, and that's basically the driving force behind a lot of this movie. Tim, as the Red Hulk guy, since you've been waiting a very, very long time to see the character on screen, you can start us off on this. What were your thoughts on the on Harrison Ford and Thunderbolt Ross?
Well, I'm going to disagree with Jason. I did like him in this movie. I did like him because he didn't come across as angry Harrison Ford that you see on the talk shows, like grumpy Harrison Ford. To me, he did come off as Thunderbolt. Of course, he's not William Hurt. William Hurt was probably better. He's better than Sam Elliott. That was just a horrible movie anyway, but he was better than Sam Elliott, and I will say that.
I can't believe I've lived to hear Tim say someone is better than Sam Elliott.
That movie was just so hard to take in. But William Hurt had that quiet, cool, fucking sinister evilness to him that you just couldn't really shake, and he was so good at being a prick.
Mm-hmm.
Harrison Ford's a little more he's a little more grumpy old man. I get that, but I didn't. I wasn't really watching Harrison Ford to me. I was watching Thunderbolt Ross. Just he had to shave his mustache because it didn't. Because presidents don't have mustaches. And yeah, sure. Betty's his daughter. Daughter's my Betty. Blah blah blah. I get it, but I did enjoy him, and I did like his little. I should be the character though, because it shows you what a prick this character is. I've changed. It took him literally 3 minutes to fucking go back to being the old Ross. That's the one thing was like, never changed. I'm a brand new guy. No, you're not, you asshole. It took you seconds to go back to being a prick, and you find out that he's really, really a prick. Like I said, I like the fact that they took Samuel Stearns like that, and he didn't just flee at the end of Hulk and ran off and did his thing, that he's actually been stuck in a room since the Incredible Hulk, forced to do his bidding, forced to get the presidency for Thunderbolt Ross, forced to make weapons, forced to do this. I love that. I love the way they did that. And yeah, of course, you want to talk Red Hulk separately, or you want to just
No. Going with Red Hulk too. Like same thing.
I love the Red Hulk. I did. I mean, you don't get a lot of them. Spoiler alert. But I loved it because it was old school Hulk, no smartness, no fucking wise ass Hulk, no talking bullshit, just a pissed off, angry Hulk, and I absolutely liked it. Maybe the ending, the whole "hey big guy" thing, wasn't my favorite part of the movie, but what else are you gonna do? Other short than bringing in Hulk, which I was hoping they actually would do for a split second. I thought that was gonna happen. Anything short of him, you gotta have a strategy, because this was the thing that pissed me off about the online people bitching that Sam Wilson went toe to toe with the Hulk and lived because he doesn't have the serum. Well, guess what, asshole? He does have a vibranium shield and fucking vibranium wings. He has the wings from the Wakandans. He has the shield. He can go toe to toe with the Hulk. as long as he doesn't take a direct hit, which he did not. But technically, the Hulk did beat the living shit out of him. But he had to have a strategy, and that's how he survived.
Well, that's what Jason had mentioned too, is that the way that Sam Wilson can't overpower him, right? Shield, Wakandan wings that can withdraw. Like, I do like the fact that Sam Wilson's wings took on that power absorbing thing, and they made sure they emphasized that, and he redirects it. Like, that was incredibly important. The Shield obviously doesn't do that, but whatever, and that's fine. Yeah, he can't take down the Red Hulk toe to toe. He had to use what Sam Wilson's ability is. Like, they do mention that Sam Wilson does counseling. He does that thing, and he basically found a way to talk him down and was able to get out of it. I am shocked that there was not the joke that he did not try to tell him about the sun's getting real low.
Yeah, I was waiting for that too.
Well, how is that not? That's a missed opportunity. I'm not holding it against the movie, but come on. How did we not get that there?
That one little second where it's like, "Hey, big guy," and the Red Hulk goes, "Huh?" Like a what?
Yeah.
What you call me? And throws a car at him or something.
Exactly, some shit like that.
But yeah, the people that were bitching about that, I'm like, dude, he didn't take a shot from the Hulk. If the Hulk would have punched him in the face, he'd be dead.
Yes.
Sam did what he had to do. He used the wings. He used the shield. He ran like hell. Did what he had to do. That's what I'm saying. Stop bitching, man. I thought it was a great fight, a great way to end it. And again, I wasn't really a fan of the "Hey, big guy," cherry blossom daughter, Betty your daughter thing. But hey,
I don't know what other way to talk him down though. Like,
exactly, there was no other way unless you're calling in the Hulk, the Green Hulk, and any other superhero in the area. It's not going to happen. So you got to live with it. Overall, I enjoyed Harrison Ford. I enjoyed the Red Hulk. Like I said, I thought it was funny how he went from "I changed" to "nope" in a matter of minutes. It's like, no, you didn't, idiot. You did not change. You actually orchestrated an entire war basically just because of your greed and your all this, and now he's in the goddamn raft. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, the one thing I will say with the whole Red Hulk thing is I enjoyed Harrison Ford's portrayal of Thunderbolt Ross. I thought he did a nice job subbing in for William Hurt. I liked his performance. The Red Hulk stuff, I think he looks great. One thing that we'll see what happens in the future, though, because I don't think this is the last we're going to see of the Red Hulk by any stretch of the imagination. But the Red Hulk, though, usually isn't Rage Monster who's screaming. He's actually he's the one who's actually Ross is able to keep his mind as the Red Hulk. So I'll just say it was the initial version wasn't, and they can kind of get back to that. And Tim, I do agree, and Jason, I think I mentioned this previously here. I thought for sure we were going to get at least a Banner cameo in this movie, if not a Hulk cameo at some point, or at least a She-Hulk cameo at some point. There are 2 other Hulks, 3 actually, that are in the MCU running around right now, and no one sees this Red Hulk on TV and decides to jump in at any point. Not for the fight, because that would have taken away from the movie. This is Sam Wilson's movie. But I just thought a post-credit scene or something like that. Anything? No?
I would have loved the post-credit scene of Abomination, Tim Roth, going to the raft going, "Okay, big guy, let me teach you how to control your rage."
Yeah, something like that, right?
That's what he did in She-Hulk.
Yeah, exactly. Or it could have been a nice way to having a She-Hulk cameo in some way. Could have been a nice way to transition her from Disney Plus to the movies, right? Like, to weave her in or something like that. I don't know. I mean, again, I'm not saying for the final fight because that had to be Sam Wilson versus the Red Hulk. Otherwise, it kind of takes away from it, the whole thing.
I would have liked to have seen Banner.
Yeah.
Up the raft and say, hey.
Something like that, right?
After all these years, the tables have turned.
Uh-huh.
You know how I feel now. But I can help you control this. I can help you. And maybe he's the one that gets Ross to be in control of Red Hulk. Because Red Hulk, basically is just Ross normally as a giant red guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Just normal, like the way Smart Hulk was. It's the same thing. Maybe he teaches him how to do it. And, it's kind of like almost like an ending to that. But I still think we're going to have to get a Red Hulk versus Green Hulk fight somewhere down the line. So maybe not yet.
I mean, I want Raging Green Hulk back.
Oh my God.
I do. In the worst way, I kind of want Raging Green Hulk
That's
back.
the same. I loved Red Hulk so much because we got that.
Yeah, exactly. Which it would be nice if that Banner kind of helps, or even if She-Hulk's the one of the two helps, or even Abomination, any of those guys shows Ross eventually how to direct the Hulk and kind of like control him. But then Banner goes back to losing control of the Hulk. That would kind of like course correct certain things.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I think. And we could also talk about the leader, another setup MCU character from way back in 2008, who was finally paid off now. I like the look that they chose to go with instead of the dude with the little mustache and the big head, and I just thought that would have not played in live action pretty well. Jason, what did you think of the look of the leader that we got?
Oh, I loved it.
Okay.
I loved it. I agree with you. Like we were working with an actor specifically who was cast before. That actor, I do not think would have looked good with the pencil mustache and the fucking big head.
Yeah.
Instead, what they gave us was no pencil mustache, thankfully, and instead of a big head, they gave us that the brain grew so much that it grew outside of the skull. And I really liked that. I thought it was a good take. I love this character. I think the leader is I know, or anyone who listens to the show knows that I am a big fan of cerebral villains. No pun intended, because he's all cerebral. Maybe there was a pun intended there, but this is one of my favorite MCU villains at this point because it's all about the intelligence. And I know you said the look, but I went into the whole thing. So
No, that's fine.
The look was great.
No, you can go expand.
Yeah, but also like his whole plan, everything is a chess game. He's playing a chess game, which he should win because he's cheated because he's so smart. And the only reason he doesn't is because he can't predict Sam Wilson, which I think is cool. I think it's a very interesting villain. And we're talking about Sam Wilson, who doesn't have Captain America's powers, going against a villain who is the reason he can't predict Sam Wilson is because of who he is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why Captain America gave him the shield. And so I actually love the leader in this so much. I think he's my favorite part of this.
I liked a lot that had a lot to do with it. Sam Wilson being the unpredictable variable that he can't seem to nail down with something. I jump into the post-credit scene. Right. So, by the way, that'll say that's one of the terrible green screen scenes that we get. It looks pretty bad. I just call it what it is, but just to take out the essence of it. I've seen some people complaining, it's not really important moving forward. I mean, he's obviously talking about fucking Secret Wars. He's telling you a multiversal war is coming. That's not important. Like, we don't know Avengers Secret Wars is coming. Like, what are we talking about here? How he knows about it is what I really want to know about. Like, how does he know this? Besides his calculations, and there's a probable percentage that a multiversal war is going to break out. That part, that's not what I want. There's got to be something else to it, though. No?
I'll take it. Whatever. I'll allow it.
You're okay with him just coming up with a breakdown, a calculation that the odds are a multiversal war is coming?
Well, I mean, I don't think he knows exactly what's coming. He don't really say exactly. He just says something, and you ain't prepared for what it is. According to my calculations, you ain't ready for what's coming. Doesn't really get into the whole specific details, but yeah, I can see how it's a little too much. But maybe with everything going on with, maybe he knows shit about Kang and the multiverses and all that kind of stuff. Maybe he's aware of what happened.
No, I agree with you. I do think that they're going to pay off something with it. I think you can't just leave it at this and that's it. I think it is a cool tease, but yeah, I think there will be a scene in the raft. Maybe when they're going to talk to get Ross out of there, right? Like they need the Red Hulk, they need some more firepower, right? And that there is a conversation with Samuel Stearns because obviously he told this to Sam Wilson. So the leader of the new leader of the Avengers is well aware that somebody just told him something that's pretty fucking haunting that he would need to get more information out of him and maybe use him. He's going to play a role, I think, moving forward.
Maybe.
Jason?
I mean, I got to see how it plays out. Like, if the next time we revisit this, it's just I saw it because of calculations. Nah, I don't think I'd be okay with it because that rings like Lex Luthor in the end of BVS, Batman vs Superman, Dawn of Justice. All hail, let's get everyone together. Wonder Woman's here too. It's a party. Because that's how that ends. No, I would be okay with it, but I do think that there is a way to pay this off that feels fulfilling, and I'm okay to see where it's going because that this is a post-credit scene. Post-credit scene, I see something coming that could be anything. I don't know. Maybe Galactus is going to take a shit. Who knows, right? He sees something coming in the multiverse. That could be anything. But when we get to the point where it's paying off, if they can make this make sense, I'm okay with it. If they can't, then I'll be the first to make fun of it.
Yeah, I would definitely have some jokes on this, but I have a feeling that they're not going to be so haphazardly with their post-credit scenes moving forward because there's still plenty to tie up now. And I kind of feel like trusting Kevin Feige, now that he's got his full power back, he will start tying up some of these things, to go forward. So with the other villain we get
under a lot of pressure. They're also under a lot of pressure to make the next, thing that really gets the audiences going because, since Endgame, everyone's always been like, how come it's not Endgame? And we all admit it can't always be Endgame, but we also admit that there's been some missteps too. So I think like Kevin Feige and MCU is really ramping up to something that they want to be game changing in the point where it brings us back to form, into excitement for something like Endgame, but post Endgame. And so, yes, I agree that they are working toward that, and that's why I'm like, all right, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
By the way, how great was the Trigger song?
Yeah, that's what we opened with tonight.
Mr.
Blue. Yeah,
great.
Nice call back to Incredible Hulk when he was. Yeah. I was his IM name with
like
Mr.
that a lot.
Mr. Blue. Yeah, me too. The other villain we get in this movie is Sidewinder, who Giancarlo Esposito, who was kind of added in. When I understand, he was added in the reshoot process here, which is fine. I liked him. I wanted to see more of him, and kudos to Giancarlo Esposito, by the way, for looking like a badass that can handle himself physically for kind of like an older guy. I liked him, and when Sam locks him up, and he spills the beans on the leader, he tells him straight out, dude, I'm going to get out of here and I'm going to fucking kill you. Like, the only thing missing, I would say, and I'm guessing this is on the cutting room floor, though, what is his beef with Sam Wilson? We don't really get that in this movie at any point in the situation. We know clearly he really wants to kill Sam Wilson, but I don't think it's like a Craven thing where he just wants a challenge. There's got to be more to it, I think. That was one thing that was kind of irked me upon in the rewatch.
Maybe he was friends with Crossbones back in the day, or together.
Fine, I would accept that, no problem. But my point is, it's never addressed, but it's alluded to in the film. It's alluded to on multiple occasions, but never really divulged.
I was looking forward to seeing the rest of the Serpent Society because
yes,
wrestling fans know that Seth Rollins was set to play one of the Serpent Society. He got cut, like most of them did, for the reshoots, which is fine. But yeah, I mean, come on, how fucking great is Giancarlo Esposito? That dude is the definition of sinister. He really, really is. And the Mandalorian, in this, and obviously Breaking Bad for the Breaking Bad people, that dude is just on point as a fucking villain. I don't ever want to see that dude play a good guy, unless he's like an anti-hero. I him play a good guy. He is such a great heel. It's not funny, but yeah, he was absolutely fantastic in this movie.
He's 66 years old.
I know.
That's crazy.
Is he really?
He's 66 years old.
Holy
Dude,
shit!
he was in jail with Eddie Murphy in Trading Places. That's how you know how old he was.
It's true.
Wait, he was in Trading Places?
He was one of the guys in the jail cell with Eddie Murphy.
Oh.
Holy shit! Now I got to rewatch that movie right now as soon as we're done.
I'm gonna be honest. I clocked that when I had seen it over the Christmas time. I ran into Trading Places and I caught myself watching it, and I was like, "Holy shit! Look who it is."
That's a great movie, but I haven't seen it in a long time. I got to rewatch it now.
Yeah. Jason, but you agreed though, right? Like I think we kind of all agreed. We wanted more Sidewinder.
Oh fuck yeah! Yeah. No. I mean, as Tim said, everything he said, I agree with. I wanted more of him, but as you said, he was this role was written in after the rewrites, so fair enough. I'll be okay with this if the next Captain America movie has him as the villain and the Serpent Society is a villain. Like if this was the prelude to the Serpent Society and him as the big villain, I'm okay. If this is all I get from him in the MCU, it's unacceptable.
Yeah, because I feel like Captain America moving forward, and again, that's also why I'm invested in the financial aspect of this film doing well, because I want to see more Captain America movies. Like, I don't want this to be the end of Sam Wilson, Captain America, in his own films, right?
No, I don't think it will be.
Well, I'm just saying, well, we know the bottom line that will decide that. If this movie turns out to be profitable, then they will move forward. If it doesn't,
but it's made money at this point, right? Like
it has, but they have to make X amount to kind of like.
Oh,
they've had a good start.
Right.
Yeah, okay. We can't have like a $10 million. Right. We can't have like a $10 million, second weekend. Then you're in major trouble. So we also get a new Falcon in this movie. We get Joaquin Torres taking over, who we met in Falcon and Winter Soldier. I like the kid. I thought he was pretty cool in this. He had some awkward humor at times, but I thought that was kind of intentional. But his relationship with Sam Wilson, I thought was nice. I thought it was pretty cool. The ending scene, I thought went on a little too long, which is one of my editing issues with this movie. Like, I think it kind of kept going and going and going, and it kind of felt like should have been cut a little bit, just like a tighter thing.
And you're okay. And you're okay. And you're okay. Everyone's okay. 20 minutes later, we're still okay. Yeah, I agree.
Exactly. But I liked him. I thought it was pretty cool. Him and Sam having that battle on Celestial Island, I thought was probably one of the best scenes in the movie, and it looked great too. When they're going, when he gets shot down eventually, but they're going, they're flying together and taking out a bunch of shit and everything like that. But overall, his character, I enjoyed. I know there was some people who were kind of annoyed by him and found him annoying, but I don't know. I enjoyed him. I thought he was cool. It was a nice touch.
I liked him too. He needed a little bit of that comic relief in there, to ease things a little bit. And that's basically what he was there for.
Yeah.
But he's a great character. He's going to be a great Falcon, so I dug him.
Yeah. Jason?
Yeah, I liked him. I thought that I can see why if he was used more, he would get annoying. I think like his personality, the way it sits here, I think they used him perfectly. So I don't think he was annoying, but I think like if he was giving more screen time with that character, it would be annoying. But I did like what we got from him. Mm-hmm. And I thought he was a good foil. I thought he was a good foil for Anthony Mackie as, Captain America. Like, kind of Falcon Anthony Mackie was a good foil for Captain America. So yeah, I thought it worked out well.
Yeah. And I do think arguably the strongest performance of the movie I thought was Isaiah Bradley.
Yes, I agree.
He was really good. That was Carl Lumley, who plays Isaiah Bradley in this film, who we had met also in Falcon and Winter Soldier. Which is like, I feel like this movie gives you enough to go off of if you did not see Falcon and Winter Soldier. But if you did see Falcon and Winter Soldier, which the three of us did, you got a lot more because you weren't just meeting these characters for the first time, and you saw kind of like what they went through. And the choice to kind of make him somewhat of briefly a Winter Soldier, I thought was pretty cool. Like seeing him kick ass and everything like that, and how strong he was and stuff, and the fact that he trains Sam Wilson now, even though he's got the super soldier serum, I thought was cool. And his story arc there, there wasn't much added to it, but it was, except for I guess, well, no, his story arc is still what it is. He's the forgotten Captain America. He was imprisoned, by the U.S. government for years and experimented on and shit like that, and for kind of like no really good reason besides the government wanting to create super soldier serum again, like to keep the whole thing going. But yeah, I thought his scenes were pretty impactful though, with what he had with Anthony Mackie, and also, not wanting to die in prison. Like when he delivers that whole line and everything like that, I thought that was pretty heartfelt.
I thought he said, "I'm not going back in." I was like, "Oh shit, this dude, this dude's busting out of here," because he said, "I ain't going back in the box."
Yeah.
That's what I was waiting for, him to get the hell out of there.
Yeah, which Sabra says that when she talks about his motivation, she's like, he had all the motivation in the world to want to kill Ross and to be pissed off at the government. Like, no shit.
Yes. And I love I love just the characterization they give to him, because at points it was funny. Like, oh, suit up. Oh yeah, I got married in this suit. That was funny. Or when he leaves, like, where's my suit? Like, I like that he was a character who was very serious and very pivotal to the story, and a huge emotional anchor for Falcon, Captain America, actually, but also very funny and very serious. Like, they gave that guy a lot to do, and I really appreciated that.
Yeah. And speaking of Sabra, she's the agent that Thunderbolt Ross basically has as his right-hand person here. She's also played by Shira Haas here. Her acting performance I thought was fine. I just thought she was a little too small for the role, and so I was like physically imposing. I kind of would have went with someone who was a little bit bigger. Not that like Scarlett Johansson is huge as Black Widow. We've seen her do that, but I don't know. I think she's like 5'2" or something like that.
Yeah, she's tiny.
Yeah, she was really small. Especially there's a couple of shots where she's walking next to Sam Wilson, who we know is not the biggest guy in the world either, and next to Joaquin Torres here. I mean, her acting was good. That wasn't the issue. It was just the physically imposing part for a former Black Widow was the only thing that I kind of was wrestling with, and that was more upon a second watch. I know our friend Joe had brought it up to me and Jason. We were discussing the movie after the first time we saw it. The second time around, I don't know, it irked me a little bit, but it wasn't enough to like kill it or anything like
that. I wasn't really too thrilled with the Widow part of the thing, but I get why you had to have it, I guess. Ross needed somebody. Like, Ross wouldn't have anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
He wouldn't have just regular security. That's what I'm saying.
No,
he'd have to have something special, so it kind of makes a little bit of sense.
Yeah, he needs a killing machine, essentially, or someone who could be.
So,
I was okay with it because it was the Widow program, and she kind of reminded me like of I think I called her this when we were talking about it. She's like a young Dr. Ruth.
Yes.
Because I mean, Dr. Ruth was a known sharpshooter. She did serve in the Israeli military before she came over here, and also very diminutive. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's kind of what they were doing, like a nod to that. I mean, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. Maybe I'm just so old I know who Dr. Ruth is, but again, because of the Widow training, I'm like, I think anyone with the Widow training,
just
regardless of stature, could kick ass. Like I think if you put my 5-year-old in there, he would, be scarred for life, but could kill you in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I'm not saying it was totally impossible. Again, I just would have wanted someone who was just a little bit more physically imposing is all. That's why. But you're right. For the sake of the film, you're right. If you went through the Black Widow, if you were in the Red Room and you got Black Widow training, then you can probably fuck a lot of people up.
Yeah.
Which is fine. And I guess is there any scenes or anything we want to discuss or anything with it? Anyone want to bring anything up or highlight any specific scenes outside of characters?
The only two, like the bad scenes were, I forget. I had two of them, but I forget what one of them was. But one of them was when they come out of the Stearns' base. What the hell was it called? Echo One. What the hell was fucking called? I forget what it was called.
Yeah, the military base that he was in.
And the soldiers get activated and they're getting ready to shoot. It was one of those like barely an inconvenience. Hey, let's jump in this car and go. Okay, let's go. And they got in the car and just drove away. What just happened? I was like, where? There's no way it should have been that easy. They just hopped in the car and drove away, considering how close everybody was. I'm like, that's a reshoot problem right there. That's just, I'm like, well, we can't have this scene be too long, so they're just going to hop in the car and drive away. Like, that was a little weird.
Yeah, my more standout ones were, again, just talking about the bad shots. There was a couple of shots in the final battle with the Red Hulk that were terrible green screen, especially since it was like daylight and it was bright colored, and you saw that. The post-credit scene has a bad shot. There's a couple of fight scenes early in the movie that felt like the choreography was a little bit weird. It just didn't seem like it was the smoothest fight scenes at all. I don't know. It's just, there was something off. And the thing was, like, you know what it is? There is a couple of, and again, this was noticeable on the rewatch now, is there the scene in the beginning when Sam is fighting that group of people and he's kicking ass with the shield and everything like that. There's a couple of shots where they go with like far away shots for some fucking weird reason. And it kind of like takes you out of the scene for a second. And I'm just like, why would you do that? And to me, that's like, oh, reshoot shot, reshoot shot, reshoot shot. And that's what I'm saying. It's mostly technical shit that was getting on my nerves. But on the same hand, though, the fight on Celestial Island was awesome. I had zero problems with it. It looked great. Choreography was great. Battle, the shit that Sam's doing, slicing through wings of jets and everything like that. Everything looked phenomenal. Most of the fight scene with Red Hulk will look great outside of those random couple of shots. So that's what I'm saying. Like, there's some questionable CGI stuff, but again, not enough to ruin it. But there's some really, the action in this movie, I think, is really good for the most part.
Well, don't forget, I heard that Stearns was all reshoot.
They changed his look completely.
Because he had the head, and they were like, the head's not working.
Yeah, exactly.
Even their Funko Pop had the head.
Yep. And he had the mustache, too.
That's why all his shots look like he's not in the same room with everybody else. No. Like, he went back in and shot them by himself while everyone else was home doing whatever they were doing. That's why a couple of those shots look like that.
Yeah, and I just don't get is that Marvel Studios, like, you guys got a lot. Like, how does this happen? How does the movie get released like this and you didn't clean this up? That's my frustrating thing. Like, those are some of the things that held this movie down from, like, being great to, like, being honest about it. Like, it is. These are the issues. I don't even want to call them nitpicks. I mean, they are issues. I mean, it's there.
They're issues.
Yeah, you finished the movie. You gave me this movie, so I'm going to just call it what it is. Jason, any kind of scenes or things you want to highlight?
Yeah, I want to highlight I love that there was a dogfight, like action scene in this. You don't get that much anymore. That's a very World War I thing with, fucking planes fighting planes. We don't really get that after World War I. But we literally get a fucking dogfight scene with both Falcons, and I want to highlight that. That's awesome, and it's not something that we have ever seen in the MCU before. Yeah. We'll throw that out there. We haven't seen it in cinema in fucking 100 years now. So I like that a lot. I like the leader a lot. I do. And I didn't even notice that he wasn't in the same room the whole time as other people, because I think that actor is so fucking good. And he's chilling. Like, there's that moment where the person that Sam Wilson asks to look into what these pills do, but you can't tell anyone. Bang, you're dead. Like, there was something so, like, really interesting about his character. Like he's and can we really say he's the villain? Like knowing what he went through, he's kind of the anti-hero here. Like, you know, is he doing the right thing for the protagonist, Sam Wilson? No. Is he wrong in what he's doing based on what happened to him? No. And I thought that
refers to himself as the hero. He refers to himself as the hero in the third act. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the hero. And I don't know, can we argue that he's not? Except that this movie is called Captain America and not called a leader, because this guy's been fucking stuck in a military camp and used, and he agreed to it and made a deal, and the deal wasn't even like, it's not even like he got pissed that he was used. He got pissed that he was used and said, I'll help you do anything you want, and when I give you everything you want, you free me. Like I'm the fucking genie in a bottle. Your third wish is to free me. And Ross went, go fuck yourself. I mean, is he really the bad guy?
And don't forget, he turns himself in, knowing,
he does.
Not really believing that he is the hero, but knowing, listen, I might be extremely super smart, but I'm not that villain that's going to run out and build a lair and be this and be this villain running. No, I'm a regular dude. I'm a scientist first. I did what I believe was right, but I know I'm not going to go on the run and stay away from all these people. Fucking turns himself in.
Yeah.
Hero. It is. It's
exactly.
No, that's a fair point there. And I guess one of the things I thought we were getting more Liv Tyler. I thought we were getting more Betty Ross in this movie, but we really just a very brief scene. I mean, she's in the movie for less than a minute.
Betty, his daughter?
Exactly. Betty, I heard that was Ross's daughter. I'm not so sure, but I think she just might be.
Wait, his daughter Betty or Betty his daughter? I'm not sure.
I think his daughter Betty.
Betty his daughter.
Oh, Betty his daughter. Oh no, you're right.
I'll go with
right.
I'll go with the defense. Fine.
Yeah, some of the dialogue, by the way, was also just like there was a lot of expositionary dialogue that I think it was completely unnecessary. That's how I'll just knock some of the writing throughout the movie.
Ed, the host. How could you say that, Ed, the host?
Well, Jason, the host, I'm gonna just have to say I have an inkling on this. I'm not really sure. You know, it's a weird thing.
I guess you have to have a little bit, considering the movie's they said 2008. People might not remember that movie. And they're like, you know, Betty, the daughter. But you say it once.
Yeah, well, listen, dude,
say it once.
Yeah, come on. Top Gun Maverick didn't have to do that kind of shit, and they were like way past the original movie.
But the way he did it the first time was very, because he said, "Has my daughter Betty called yet?" You don't need that. So you say like, "Has Betty called?" No, she hasn't called. Then he can just say, or after that, "Well, I haven't talked to my daughter in 15 years." Boom, you got it. That's it. You got it.
Exactly.
You don't have to, exactly. Yeah, you don't have to keep saying, "Did my daughter Betty call?" You know, Betty, my daughter. No, you don't have to keep doing it over and over again.
It's all right. Anything else?
Almost as if the script could have been written better.
Just a little bit. Even though the director is shit, by the way, he also came out and smacked down the reports that there were multiple rounds of reshoots. He said there were only one round of reshoots, and it was the same one as every MCU movie gets. Just
it's
like
normal for the MCU. Right?
Exactly. They plan it ahead of time. They have it built in. So they were like,
that's a lie, because they cut the entire Serpent Society out.
No, well, that was cutting things that were already shot. I'm just saying, I don't know if they went out and reshot everything. Like, the way they made it sound, the reports were, oh, we did a test screening. Cut, reshoots. Test screening. Cut, reshoots. They're just basically saying that was a little bit overblown. There was a lot of things that were cut from it. Not saying that I want the Snyder cut of Captain America Brave New World again. We're not going down that road again. We've been down that road one too many times with another studio. Too many times. But again, that's what's being said here. I just still want to know how the finished product was released with these details that were obvious, so painfully obvious that suck out like sore thumbs to it. I just don't know how that is possible.
Nowadays, the nerds, man, they find everything.
It's weird.
You can't hide it.
No, but Tim, we saw the movie. It's plain as day to anyone who's watching the movie. It's just like it smacks you in the face with some of the bad green screen and shit like that. So, I will say, IMAX 3D recommended for this movie, even though the bad stuff will stand out much more to you. But the good shit is worth it. There is a lot of cool shit that you get to see with it. Also, before IMAX 3D, you get that countdown for IMAX. It's counted down as the Fantastic Four.
Nice.
They have ramped up the marketing for Fantastic Four First Steps like full blast. It's already there. We're in fucking February. This movie doesn't come out until July. The trailer was before it, along with the new Thunderbolts trailer, and it was all over it.
Thank you.
So they're feeling pretty good about Fantastic Four.
Are they skipping Thunderbolts though, going straight to Fantastic Four?
I'm just saying, like, they're ramping it up. My thing is, it's telling me that Marvel Studios really believes a lot in Fantastic Four.
Good.
You know what I mean? Like, to me, that's screaming confidence that they got in this thing. They know how much is riding on the Fantastic Four, because there's a lot riding on it.
Oh,
Plus,
yeah.
it's all the officially third version of the Fantastic Four, but for some of us, it's the fourth version of the Fantastic Four. Those who have found the other one. So, if you want to see that kind of cool stuff, I would recommend check it out on IMAX 3D because they're ramping it up. But dude, I'm beyond hyped for Thunderbolts too. Jason and I were talking about it before the movie.
I'm very excited about it.
Thunderbolts looks sick.
Thunderbolts definitely leaves major question marks. Just watching the trailer, you're like, I mean, we all know who the villain is.
Yeah.
Just by the trailer, you know.
Yeah, it's Century. And
they even say it. You're not beating him. So it's like, what's going to happen?
Yeah. I'm hyped for it. I think it looks great. I want to know what happens with Bucky as a congressman. Like, do we just find out in the beginning of the movie? Because in this movie, they set up that he was running for Congress, that he had to go do a fundraiser.
Mm-hmm.
My guess is in the first 5-10 minutes of Thunderbolts, we find that either A, he just lost because his past came back to get him. And that's what I'm saying. The theme of Thunderbolts seems to be redemption. You know, a bunch of people looking for a second chance. So that's what I'm going to guess is that Bucky lost the election because of his past came back to bite him.
I'm in. I can't wait.
Jason?
Yeah, no, that sounds good. I mean, I don't care what it is, man. I'm looking forward to Thunderbolts. That looks really good. It could literally be Bucky goes, fuck this stupid country. I'm going to fucking help with Thunderbolts. I don't care. I love it. It's like the Suicide Squad, but for Marvel, and I'm very into it.
Just hopefully much better than the first Suicide Squad.
I'm sorry. It's like Suicide Squad. My apologies.
Watch your mouth there. The Suicide Squad. No, but these guys aren't really like. I mean, they're not all villains per se. I mean, right? Like Bucky was a villain. Okay. U.S. agent did murder someone with a shield.
No.
They're all villains, except for Ghost. Ghost really.
Red Guardian's not a villain.
Well, not for Russia. For us, he was.
I mean, Red Guardian's the man.
Yeah. really, really grown to love that character a lot. His love for Bucky cracks me up. All right. Then let's wrap it up for us this week. Thanks, as always, for joining us. You can check this out on Facebook. Be sure to check out Granny's PhD's Facebook group so you can check out all the cool stuff that we drop on there, trailers and stories and whatnot that don't make the show. Check out Pop Culture Pros and popculturepros.com because that's who we are presented by. On YouTube, subscribe to Pop Culture Pros and wherever you found your audio-only podcast. Jason and I will be back next week. We'll be talking about episode 6 of Harley Quinn, along with the finale, the season finale of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, along with Invincible, season 3, episode 5. So we got a lot to talk about there. Tim, you got anything to plug before you got coming up this week, before we sign off?
We got our usual unsportsmanlike conduct, bringing you the world of sports this week. Just Too Sweet, of course, still going. We usually stick to pay-per-views right now until my co-star returns from his walkabout. He's on a walkabout. Last I heard, he was in Papua New Guinea teaching the natives how to draw. I don't know when he's going to be back from that.
Wow.
He will return.
My mind went right to Airplane, by the way, like Ted Stryker and stuff.
Well, Eric's life now is like the red line from Indiana Jones. Going from place to place, teaching the world, bringing the world his funk. That's really what. But we're always doing that. So look for us on Just Too Sweet and on Sportsmanlike Conduct.
All right. So we will see you guys next week. Peace.